This video is very much a part 2, and will make no sense if you haven't watched part 1. Please check that one out first if you haven't yet. I tried to keep part 1 as short as I could, while still being comprehensive, so if you just want to see all the tech that does exist, you can stop there. If you trust that I checked every possibility, then you aren't missing very much if you just skip this one, especially since this is a list of things that don't exist or aren't useful. However, because I didn't exhaustively provide a bunch of video proof of other Kara cancels not being useful, I left the door open for comments like, "Why did you say only Squiggly and Parasol have Kara throws? What about other characters? I swear Umbrella and Fortune have Kara throws too." So let's address that now. It should also be instructive. People who are curious could do their own research after the next update instead of relying on me to get around to finishing a video. I mentioned Squiggly and Parasol can input Light Kick into Light Punch to slightly increase their throw range. Couldn't other characters have Kara throws too? Unfortunately, no. To explain why, we gotta talk about a character's position real quick. With hitboxes set to advanced, you can see a dot under the character's feet. This is their position. A character only actually moves forward if the position moves forward. For example, Double shifts backward during her standing light kick. However, because her position doesn't actually move, any cancel from standing light kick will always happen from the same place. Her sprite moves, it looks like she goes backward. Even her hurtbox moves, she can dodge attacks by slipping back, but her position doesn't move, so if the attack is interrupted or cancelled, she'll always be in the same place she started. However, her crouching medium punch does move her position forward, allowing her to use it as a movement option. A cancel from this does actually refer to a new position. We can use the grid option to help prove whether a character's position is moving or if they simply shift their sprite around without going anywhere. So, we need to check for moves that change our position. But what exactly are we looking for? Firstly, the Kara window for throws only lasts 2 frames, so anything that happens after that window won't help us. Medium and heavy normals won't help us either. Only light normals have a Kara window. You can't throw while crouching, so crouching normals don't have a Kara throw window because they don't need one. Down light punch into neutral light kick will not give a Kara throw. Finally, only Jab 1 has a Kara window for normal throws. An input like Light Punch and then Light Punch into Light Kick won't give a jab into a Kara throw, you'll just get Jab 1 into Jab 2. This is the reason characters like Bella, Double, and Eliza can't chain into a grounded throw. Here's a montage of the first 2 frames of every Jab 1 standing and jumping light normal in the game, with the character's position highlighted. Keep in mind that frames as a measurement of time don't correspond to frames of animation on a 1-to-1 basis. Meaning, the game runs at 60 frames per second, but it's not animated by drawing 60 pictures per second. Animations will often hold for several frames, so frame 1 and frame 2 often look identical. The only two buttons that result in forward movement during the Kara window are Squiggly and Parasol's standing light kick. Philia, Bella, Fortune, Fukua, and Umbrella all eventually move forward during their standing light kick, but this happens after the Kara window, so it's not helpful. Same for Umbrella's jumping light kick. Additionally, Band and Fortune actually move backwards during their standing light kick during the Kara window. Technically speaking, as an extremely minor optimization, these characters should bias towards pressing Light Punch slightly earlier, since accidentally doing a light kick into Light Punch has a microscopic chance to scoot them backwards a tiny bit just outside throw range and whiff a throw they otherwise would have landed. Again, though, minor optimization. That tiny backward scoot is very unlikely to cause a far throw to whiff, but not impossible. That's it for normal throws. Plinked throws all happen to only do something if you input light kick into light punch, and only on the ground. Of these, Parasol and Squiggly are marginally better, while Band and Fortune are marginally worse. No other throws are affected. As far as armor goes, Painwheel is the only character with armor on a standing light normal. I did mention this in part 1, but I said she needed to be in Hatred install for it to work. Setting attack data to advanced shows us why. The boxes underneath the frame counter show which frames are armored. Outside install, no Hatred Guard button has armor by the first 2 frames, where all the Kara windows are. During install, they all have armor by the first frame. This is why Hatred install is a recurring theme for Frame 1 properties on stuff. Remember how anybody who can chain a light punch normal into a light kick normal could also chain that light punch into a throw by plinking? Well, that's not exactly 100% of the story. Parasol's jumping medium kick and jumping down medium kick can actually chain backwards into lower strength buttons. Since this includes her jumping light punch and jumping light kick, she can chain both jump medium kick and jump down medium kick into an air throw if she wants to. Problem 1. Jump medium kick shoves the opponent down real far, and jump down medium kick launches Parasol up real far. It's really hard to actually get into position to air throw somebody after landing one of these. Problem 2. Both of these buttons are about plus 13 on hit. Air throw has 7 frames of startup. The soonest possible air throw after any jump medium kick for Parasol is to let the entire animation finish, then wait 7 more frames before throwing. It's not actually possible to land the throw if you get the cancel, so all you really accomplish by doing this is throwing away your momentum. While most Kara cancels have 0 utility, this one has negative utility. Painwheel and Band can use a specific punch into punch input before attacking to very slightly increase the range of a microdash. Squiggly and Eliza can do the same thing on a backdash. They can't do it the other direction, and nobody else can do it at all. To prove it, we need to check a character's position for every move with a Kara window into the double punch dash command. So, what are we looking for this time? Well, firstly, the Kara dash window is only 1 frame. We're only concerned with the very first frame of startup, nothing after that. Kick normals don't have a Kara dash window, so we don't have to look at those. can't dash while crouching, so crouch normals don't need a Kara window. An input like down medium punch into neutral heavy punch will not result in a Kara dash. Only jab 1 has a Kara window. An input like light punch, then light punch into medium punch won't give you a jab into a dash, it'll just give you jab 1 into jab 2. Lastly, because you can already cancel any aerial into an air dash whenever you want, plinking doesn't provide any unique cancels you could not have done otherwise, so we won't consider aerials. So, here's a montage of the first frame of every jab 1 of every standing punch normal. Though, we've already seen that no standing light punch normal does anything on frame 1, so I'll be skipping those for the sake of time. While you can actually find a lot of other standing punch normals with real movement on them, none of them have that movement on the first frame, so plink dashes from those normals never add distance to the dash in any direction. Wait a minute. The Kara window on light kick normals means anything that chains into a light kick could also chain into a throw, but standing heavy punch universally has a Kara window into ground dash and chains from any light or medium normal. Damn! By the same logic, doesn't that mean every character can just push heavy punch into punch to cancel any light or medium ground normal into a fully actionable forward or backward dash? Well, no. See, Skullgirls can tell the difference between a standing heavy punch you pushed while your character was at neutral and a standing heavy punch that was chained into. It has to be able to tell the difference. This is the foundation of the infinite prevention system. Basically, you can only Kara cancel standing punch normals into a dash if you were already able to dash. This doesn't allow for dash cancels. Okay, fine, but what about that meter building thing we went over in part 1? That bit with light punch lock and load building meter once, then diamond drop building meter again. If your super meter stock is less than 100, all of your normals build meter on startup like special moves do. And you've got a Kara window for dashes on your standing punch normals. Doesn't this mean you can build meter by just dashing around? No. The same update that added a Kara window to standing punch normals also moved the meter gain of those normals to the second frame of startup instead of the first. Meaning you have to commit to more than just a dash to get meter out of your normals. Alright, so Peacock's jumping heavy kick uses her buddy Avery as a projectile. Since Avery is a single individual and he can't be in two places at once, any of Peacock's other animations that rely on him will unload the projectile. Cute, right? Well, most of these buttons don't have Kara windows, but jumping light kick actually does, so we have to check to see if a Kara air throw can unload Avery. However, the tag to unload the projectile doesn't happen until after the Kara window closes, because Avery doesn't appear in the first 2 frames. This wouldn't really let you do anything if it existed, but we have to check to make sure anyway. Additionally, this doesn't really happen with double, since jumping heavy kick is her only move that uses Avery, so the only way to unload her buddy is to launch a second projectile, which overwrites the first one. I'd like to thank a friend of mine for reminding me to exhaust all of these options, since after explaining how KDD works, they immediately started asking me about every other overlapping command grab input in the game. Which is the reason this project has a Part 2. After all, if a Kara window allows Tumbling Run to cancel into command grabs for something like KDD, then Bella can surely perform an armored Merry Gorilla or Excellabella as well. Well, no. For one, the input for Merry Gorilla does not overlap with Tumbling Run. Run must always end with a forward input, and the Kara window is only 2 frames. Starting from a forward input, Merry Gorilla always requires at least 3 frames for the input to register. There's no sequence of inputs you can do in 2 frames that will be accepted as a valid Merry Gorilla input. Excellabella does just barely overlap Tumbling Run, though. Starting from a forward input, you can input down for 1 frame, then diagonal forward and light punch on the next frame to attempt a plinked Excellabella during the Kara window. However, in addition to being extremely difficult, this also doesn't work. Any attempt to use KDD tech with Excellabella just gives an instant run stop or pommel horse instead. The Kara window on Tumbling Run only exists for Diamond Drop, nothing else. That covers possible run cancels. What about all the other overlapping commands between regular specials and command grabs? I've mentioned Light Punch Lock and Load into Diamond Drop several times now. This is not really useful because it doesn't offer any special properties or movement during its Kara window. This is true of most command grabs. Valentine can cancel Light Punch Vile Hazard into Mortuary Drop, but she loads the poison at the end of the animation instead of the start, so it's not useful. Fuqua can cancel both Light Punch Love Dart and Light Kick Drill into her fast command grab, but the projectile and the forward movement are after the Kara window. Fuqua can also cancel Light Clone Startup into her slow command grab, but yet again the clone is created long after the Kara window closes. It does move her backwards very slightly, which for a throw like this is just strictly worse, but only marginally so. Beowulf can cancel Light Punch Chair Throw and Light Kick Wolf Blitzer into Wolf Shoot, but yet again the projectile and the forward movement happen too late to be helpful. Oddly, Umbrella seems to be lacking the ability to cancel Salt Grinder into her command grab, despite the input overlap. This wouldn't help her even if it did cancel, though. Lastly, Diamond Deflector and Excalibella overlap their inputs. And yes, the first 2 frames of Deflector can cancel into Excalibella. Forward, down, forward, light punch into light kick does give 1 to 2 frames of Reflect into an anti-air throw. Deflector also has protection against projectiles starting on the first frame. Clearly, though it's extremely niche, this must also be a useful Kara cancel. No, again. Similar to the fix to the improvised Robo Painwheel parry, this isn't a Kara cancel, it's an option select. Bella can only cancel the first 2 frames of a failed Deflector into Excalibella. If the Deflector is successful in countering a projectile, then the light kick input will be ignored and she'll just commit herself to a full Deflector. Finally, because I remembered this at the last minute, what about Cilia Slide? That's a 2-button command, like a command grab. It's the only other 2-button special in the game. Could there be Kara tech there? Well, Double could already cancel her standing light kick and standing heavy kick into Cilia Slide whenever she likes, so a plinked one doesn't let her do anything special. Additionally, the only commands that overlap with Cilia Slide are Flesh Step and Beast of Gehenna. Trying to overlap those with Cilia Slide has nothing to do with the slide kick. That is, down back light kick into heavy kick or heavy kick into light kick doesn't give 1 to 2 frames of Flesh Step into a slide, you get Flesh Step into the super, which isn't useful and you could just cancel those anyway. Whether a move has armor or invincibility is not one of those things that can be ambiguous. It's pretty obvious when a move has that. But what about other Kara benefits? Maybe somebody else has something like Parasol's Bodyguard Snap or some kind of extra movement. No, again. Only specials that overlap the Snap command have a Kara window, because only specials that overlap the command actually need one. This means only forward quarter circles and horizontal charge moves need to be looked at. Here's one final montage showing the first 2 frames of every special that overlaps the Snap command. For the sake of time, I won't show multiple clips of moves that look the same during startup. If Ringlet Spike M won't work, you can probably assume H Spike and the Feint won't work either. I already covered all the armored and invincible ones in part 1. I also covered Brass, A-Train, and Squiggly's punch stance gaining extra reach in part 1. No other special overlaps the Snap command except Tumbling Run, which gives an instant run follow-up instead of a snapback. No other move has forward movement, and Parasol's bodyguard is the only summoned entity that is called to appear on frame 1. Parasol's bike buddy, Peacock's bombs, and Eliza's servants are all summoned after the car window closes. I mentioned these projectiles specifically because the animation of calling a projectile off-screen more closely resembles Parasol's bodyguard snap than the typical gunshot or Hadouken. I feel people are less likely to challenge the more normal-looking fireballs. This is a very short section. If Double has the forbidden Catheads technique due to the double punch dash Kara window, could somebody else have something similar? Well, the only thing close to that would be Annie's star power. Star power normals have different frame data than her regular normals, which means the star is hitting after the normal active frames. To have something like the forbidden Catheads technique, Annie would need a standing punch normal with 0 frames of startup, and if she had something like that, you would not be hearing about it for the first time here. I guess I could cover Headless Fortune tech here while I'm talking about Catheads. Put simply, Headless Fortune issuing commands to the head isn't really compatible with Kara tech, because the head and body are controlled independently of each other. Meaning, the head and body can already do stuff at the same time, you don't have to try to look for Kara windows to cheat the system. This one is also extremely short. I mentioned installed Painwheel can get 1 frame of armor into Unfly due to the Kara window on her flying punch normals. We have to check these for Kara tech. Well, Jumping Heavy Punch is the only one with armor, and it's only frame 1 in Hatred install, so there's no other source for that. None of her Jumping Punch normals affect her momentum on frame 1, so she can't scoot around with a Kara cancel. And none of her Jumping Punch normals throw a projectile or add to some resource, so she can't do anything like that either. That's the end of the list, isn't it? What other 2-button commands are there? Supers don't benefit from plinking because all your specials and normals can already cancel into super whenever you like. We don't really need to discuss those because the Kara window is irrelevant. Push block and alpha counter can only be done in block stun, and there's no 1-button commands in block stun to Kara into them with. Tagging out only has a Kara window from normals, and normals already go into tag whenever you like, so the Kara window doesn't let you do anything new. And then we exhausted normal throws, command grabs, dashes, unfly, and snapbacks. That's all of the 2-button commands in the game. For now, anyway. See you guys in a few balance patches when Black Dahlia comes out and makes this list no longer fully comprehensive, and again after the next character. Thanks for watching. Peace.